Americans are led to believe that just as a blanket statement, Muslims are bad.
I mean, Muslims have always treated me with respect. You know, I've read parts of the Quran, and I mean, I've talked to a lot of Muslims, and rape is against, you know, their religion in any way, shape, or form. The only religion I've actually seen where rape is excused is in Judaism.
Dalam sebuah podcast terbaru, dua tokoh Amerika melontarkan pertanyaan yang bahkan jarang terdengar di media utama. Mereka mempertanyakan sesuatu yang selama bertahun-tahun dianggap tabu. Benarkah kekacauan di Timur Tengah hanyalah efek samping perang? Atau justru memang ada pihak yang diuntungkan ketika kawasan itu terus berada dalam konflik? Video ini bukan untuk memaksa kalian percaya. Video ini mengajak kita mendengar sendiri apa yang mereka katakan, lalu menilainya dengan kepala dingin.
Israel is safer when Syria is in chaos, or Libya is in chaos, or now Iran is in chaos. What's the end game there? You can't have chaos all the time in perpetuity.
Well, I mean, if you accept their Greater Israel project and that's what they want to do, it's hard to steal land without distractions. It allows justifications. Also, turmoil in the region distracts from what they're doing to the Palestinians. So, you know, and also they don't want peace. This idea that like, oh, you know, just let the Jews have this piece of land and, you know, everybody's attacking. It's just nonsense. Like, they're constantly the aggressors. And so I look at this and I'm just like, I don't know of any other country other than us that has bombed 7 different countries in a year, you know, other than Israel. So it's right. Like, I don't know. I don't think that they've ever wanted peace. They're a nation, and they're, you know, said this numerous times, founded by and so, yeah, I think that as long as we are supporting them and allowing them to commit all these acts, I mean, they're going to continue to be arrogant assholes. They're going to be, you know, everybody acts like, oh, well, it's the only democracy in the region. And I'm like, they are the only in the region. They're causing all these problems. And Americans just aren't, they're just not familiar with it. And so it's been framed to them that, you know, Muslims are bad, you know, Israel's good.
You know, that's another thing I don't understand, too. You're right about that. Americans are led to believe that just as a blanket statement, Muslims are bad. I spent much of my adult life in the Middle East. And, you know, our foreign relations with almost all of the Middle Eastern countries are very, very tight, very close and good. You know, we have a so-called special relationship with the Saudis. Whether that's true or not, that's what it's called. Our relations with Kuwait are very strong. Bahrain is the headquarters of the 5th Fleet. Qatar hosts the largest American Air Force base in the world. The UAE, I would argue that our relationship with the UAE is closer than it is with any of those other countries. The Omanis, we've turned to the Omanis for decades to be the middleman in our relations with, you know, the Iranians and with others. We're joined at the hip with the Egyptians, with the Moroccans, with the Tunisians. We have great relations, especially in American foreign policy. I just don't understand.
You want the honest answer? I mean, it's Jewish propaganda. That's really what it is. I mean, it comes from Hollywood. It's because every time, you know, growing up, you see they're always Muslim. They always have, you know, a kiefa or, you know, whatever. And it's programming, man. Like, I was in the military. I did, you know, 3 months of boot camp. And in that 3 months, I changed dramatically. So what does 30 years of programming do to you? I always thought Muslims are a problem. I really did. Like, growing up, I was like, you know, especially when I was in the military, I'm like, oh, these Hajis, you know, blah, blah, blah. They have all these names for them.
Yeah.
Some of which I can't say on air.
Yeah.
You know, but they're bad and it dehumanizes them, right? And so when guys come back from war, you know, guys that I went through, you know, training with, whatever, come back and, you know, brag about, you know, these Muslims they killed, it's kind of like a badge of honor, and it's a way to justify the things that they did. And I really believe that a lot of the PTSD comes from coming back and realizing, like, maybe these weren't the bad guys.
Satu bagian yang menurut saya paling menarik, salah satu narasumber mengatakan bahwa masyarakat Amerika sejak kecil dibentuk oleh narasi yang sangat sederhana. Muslim adalah ancaman. Kalimat sesederhana itu kalau diulang puluhan tahun lewat film, berita, televisi hingga budaya populer, lama-kelamaan berubah menjadi sesuatu yang dianggap sebagai fakta. Padahal, menurut pengalamannya sendiri saat tinggal di Timur Tengah, kenyataannya justru jauh lebih kompleks.
You know, and Rob O'Neill talked about that. Actually, I heard him on one podcast where he kicked in the door of some guy's house, bedroom, whatever, and the guy went for a gun and he shot him, and he was thinking about that. He's like, hey, what if that had been me? You know, what would I have done? I would have grabbed my gun and, you know, he would have shot me, and what if I had something in common with that guy, and what if we would have, you know, had a laugh over coffee and whatever, and it's like, would he have grabbed that gun if I didn't kick the door in of his bedroom, and why did I kick the door in his, you know what I mean? Like, you start asking yourself these questions. I mean, Muslims have always treated me with respect, and I'm sure there's bad ones, you know, and everybody wants to look at like, oh, but the Muslim rape gangs in the UK and Europe and everything else. And that's, once again, it's kind of pushing this narrative, but no different than the Mexicans coming across the border, and they're mostly Christian, you know, and the Ethiopians coming from Ethiopia, you know, they're mostly, I mean, Africa's mostly Christian, right? And it's not because they believe in Jesus or they're, you know, came over with their Bible, they're causing problems. No, it's because they're poor and they're coming from a country that, you know, doesn't have strong culture. They have no affinity to the new, you know, country or state or wherever they're going into. And so that, to me, is the source of the problem. It's not because they read the Quran. You know, I've read parts of the Quran, and I mean, I've talked to a lot of Muslims, and rape is against, you know, their religion in any way, shape, or form. The only religion I've actually seen where rape is excused is in Judaism in the Talmud.
A bill making it a criminal offense to criticize Israel. Right now, it is a felony to criticize Israel. And a woman in Miami Beach wrote a Facebook post criticizing Israel. The very next day, police, you're under arrest. Governor DeSantis didn't sign it right away. Instead, once it was passed, he flew to Israel, signed it in the presence of Benjamin Netanyahu, and then gave Netanyahu the pen as a souvenir. I'm confused as to what country I'm living in these days.
Yeah, it's almost like a humiliation ritual. I mean, Randy Fine was supportive of that as well. I mean, he helped pass the anti-Semitism laws. And it's the crazy thing is, if you were to say the things that he say about Muslims, about Jews, you would be in jail.
Oh, yeah, I'd be in jail.
You know, 70% of this district is 55 years and older. And,
yes,
you know, they got, you know, propagandized with this Israel's our greatest ally, like blah, 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 blah. They still think it's like, oh, just right against the left. Where is that coming from? That is coming from the Jewish media that's telling them these crazy things. And I know that's like another thing that, oh my gosh, you can't say that. But like, it's no secret who owns most of the media. And so, you know, I just think there has to be responsibility. I mean, you know, if Muslims own the media and they were doing this, we would be going nuts.
Yeah.
But this message is not coming from Muslims. It's not coming from Christians. And so, you know, I'm just calling it out. We're like a battered wife. It's like, what are we doing?
Right.
They keep screwing us over. They sell our secrets. They steal our uranium. Like, how many times can this country screw us over? They want to treat it like, you know, every Jew is a part of the tribe and is protected. And if you say one thing about this Jew, you're saying about all Jews. And if you say something about Israel, you're saying it about all Jews. So they're actually the ones that are pushing this narrative of a monolith. It's not us. It's like, it's them, because, you know, the fact that they would coin that, you know, any criticism of Israel as anti-Semitic literally says that they are saying that if you criticize this country, you're criticizing all Jews. It's weird. It's, once again, this hypocrisy of like, they can say these things, but if you say it, you're an anti-Semite.
I went on the Piers Morgan show the other day. I've been something of a regular on that show. And I said, Piers, you cannot have as a policy to just kill everybody. That's not a policy. That's called genocide. There's a word for that. You cannot kill everybody. They funded Hamas, number one, and that's a proven fact. That was a policy decision taken by Benjamin Netanyahu. But number two, there were weeks full of intelligence indicating that an attack was coming. And Itamar Ben-Gvir, who's supposed to be the big mastermind of, you know, security in Israel, and who's really just a war criminal.
He's the worst, by the way.
The worst of the worst.
He's worse than Netanyahu.
Yeah, he is. He's worse. He's worse. But he insisted that the attack was coming in the West Bank. And I believe that the man is not that stupid. He knew it was coming in Gaza, and they were looking for something that would allow them to just kill everybody.
100%. And, you know, it's shown in their response time. 6 hours to respond to that, and then when they do respond, they kill their own citizens, you know, pump up the numbers. Right. And so I'm glad that you didn't cave to that, because I think that what they try and do is establish a framework of like, okay, Hamas are Palestinians. That makes them the bad guys.
Right.
So then Israel's the good guys, right? And they want to just make this very black and white. I'm glad that you didn't fall into that trap, because it's an easy one to fall into. It's just saying, oh, yes, I accept that Hamas is really bad. If you really kind of look at it objectively, I think it was over 400 Palestinian civilians were killed in Gaza earlier that year.
Terlepas apakah kalian setuju atau tidak dengan semua isi podcast ini, ada satu pelajaran yang layak kita renungkan. Jangan pernah menyerahkan cara berpikir kita kepada siapapun, karena seringkali yang membentuk cara kita melihat dunia bukanlah fakta, melainkan narasi. Islam mengajarkan kita untuk tabayyun, mencari tahu, memeriksa, dan menilai dengan adil sebelum mengambil kesimpulan. Sekarang saya ingin bertanya kepada kalian, menurut kalian apakah media hari ini benar-benar menyampaikan fakta secara utuh atau hanya memperlihatkan sisi yang ingin mereka tunjukkan? Tulis pendapat kalian di kolom komentar. Mari berdiskusi dengan adab dan saling menghormati.